So I've been working for a while, and I want to say is that I started to quiet quit my job again because things slowed down, and I gotta say, dude, it has in fact changed my life for the better. Working a job with a lot of hours for me sometimes can be a little stressful, not because of the job itself, so that sometimes the people can kind of get on your nerves to the point where it's like, bro, why am I working so many hours? Now, obviously, I was working a lot of hours just to have a stable paycheck to the point where I wanted overtime money. And it was fine for a while, dude, because, I was picking the hours and it was great. But I gotta say, is I've been uploading a lot of videos the past couple, like, days, and holy shit, dude, this is the most hard work I put on this channel in a good while, and since everything slowed down, and I gotta say, it's been changing for the better. Like, I'm not sure how to fully describe this, but I feel like I got a giant dopamine hit now from all the content, like videos, comments, and everything I get from the last couple days. And hell yeah, dude. It's been a blast. It's also just playing my old games. I've finally been able to, like, actually play some games and sit down and just relax, dude. Because it's been fun, you know? Like, I've been enjoying this YouTube gig I've been doing for a while, and it's kind of great to see that things have finally paid off. Another thing I want to say too is that when you focus on your dreams or passions or whatever you want to do on the side while working a job that you may not be most passionate about, it really does make the situation a lot easier, and it makes you a bit happier too, because there's something that you can look forward to after work. Like when I'm working and stuff, like I am like in the back of my head excited to go home and just like make some videos or do whatever the hell I want to with video games, and it's pretty cool because not very many people have that type of privilege. It's pretty awesome. And sometimes, bro, we all have that one manager that kind of gets on our nerves no matter how hard we work. And it can be a big pain in the ass because these type of managers will also try to take their job way too seriously to the point where they act like they're a fucking, soulless corporation. And it's weird too because I've had a few of those a few times where I was actually just ready to go home, use some PTO an hour early just so I could make a video. And then I had a manager come up to me asking me, "What are you doing? What are you doing this? What are you up to?" It's like, man, I'm about to go home. Like, I don't think, I think you're trying to catch me in a gotcha moment, but honestly, you're kind of playing yourself, bro. Kind of a weird time, and this dude obviously didn't know me very well, but still, it was kind of fucking weird how some people were trying to act so, like, almighty and shit. Like, bro, get over yourself. It's a warehouse. Now, for the most part, I try to stick to myself when it comes to people or talking to people, unless, like, I'm being trained or something. Like, that's kind of also what happened to that crazy allegation that happened to me with the sexual harassment situation. I'll definitely leave a link in the video description for that, but fuck, dude. I think it's annoying as fuck. I think it's best when it comes to working and stuff is that, like, do not work a crazy amount of overtime if you don't need it. There's people who do need the overtime, but if you really honestly don't need it, but you just want to work just to have a lot of cash, I find it a bit easier just to work 40 hours at least, or at least 45, and then work on the side that we're doing something else, like a passion or something. Because it's, I don't know, it just feels a lot more like relieving on the soul. It feels like you actually have some type of purpose more in terms of like, wanting to get things done, but in your own way, and no one has anything to tell you what to do. When it also comes to quiet quitting, it's not about like, not giving a fuck about your job. Sometimes it does do that, but even just doing like just the minimal effort is enough for most jobs. And like it also makes you feel better too because you're not like killing yourself, I've noticed. And it makes the time go by a bit faster. Like there's times where I'd be just casually scanning a lot like slower. I'm about the average speed that they want. And then I check the clock and I'm like, damn, it's already been an hour. But then like, when I worked like for 200 packages an hour at a high scan rate and I check the clock, it's been only 15 minutes. You sometimes have to pace yourself at these type of jobs or else you're just not going to have a good time at all. I do remember coming home some nights where my legs were fucking aching like crazy going that fast at times, and also just not paying attention to like how my body is reacting to all the situation, because there was one time, bro, where it was so bad that I literally had to sit down and on my bed and my legs were aching and gave me a big giant Charlie horse. And the craziest part was I was drinking a lot of water, but man, no matter how much you beat your body up, if you don't like go take care of yourself, like it'll definitely, affect your body, even if you do all the precautions to try to stay hydrated and whatnot. Another thing I want to tell you all too when it comes to working a job in general is like always listen to your body or your gut. If something is not right with you in some type of way, always listen to it because you just never know what could even happen to you if you just keep going. Because there's times where I need to go to the wellness area because I hit my hit ankle on a cart or something, and sometimes I'd be bleeding a little bit. And obviously, my job actually takes these things pretty seriously, thankfully. But I won't be like severely bleeding, but it's like getting your foot hit on a scooter or something. It's like a giant scooter on your ankle pain, and it's fucking sucks. It's definitely way worse, but damn. But the cool part is, like, I go to the wellness area, they look at it, they put a band-aid on it, and they let me like rest for like 30 minutes, and stuff like that kind of adds up too, and it makes the time go by faster. And I'm just pretty happy in general that I do have a job where they let you do that and not have to worry about rates as much. When it comes to quiet quitting too, like, try not to like get yourself written up for working too slow, I will say though, because you are there to make money and work, but you don't want to like be so slow on purpose to the point where you're constantly going to get sent home or fired, because then that will actually hurt you for the most part, because the goal is to do enough so you get paid, and also for your mental health, but also just not to fucking get fucked over too much by the corporations. And thankfully, at times when I do need to go home early, at times I just use PTO, and I don't do it too often, but when I need to, I do, because at my job I get unlimited PTO right now because it's quote unquote part-time status, but I have full-time hours, but there's benefits and shit I could also apply for because they call it the blue badge at the Amazon warehouse. It's kind of a weird situation, but you know what, dude, it's like a little loophole, I guess you could say, and it's honestly the best way to kind of take advantage of stuff like that, because there's nothing you could do and they could do, and it's about using your own resources. Another thing I've also learned at a job too is there's a lot of things that a company will not tell you to your face, especially HR. So it's kind of best to kind of venture out the options you got at any job and try to take advantage of all the resources they have available. Because thankfully at my job, there's a lot of cool resources that I didn't even know they had. Like, they failed to tell us there was like free like coupons to get into entry, like amusement parks, tickets for concerts, even fucking discounts for fucking renting a car. It's like, bro, why don't y'all tell anyone this shit? But I understand why they don't tell anyone, because a lot of these damn corporations want your cheap labor and probably your body to use without telling you. Honestly, I also remember a situation where a dude actually did try to quote unquote quiet quit, but he kind of got it wrong, because his version of quiet quitting was literally sitting in the break room or the bathroom for like 4 or 5 hours. And I ain't gonna lie, bro, like, it is kind of annoying to see people do that, because there were times where I legit needed to use the bathroom. Because the best way to kind of kill that time too is, like, if you need to use the bathroom to kill time, only go in there for like fucking 15 minutes max, because anything longer than that makes you look suspicious, for one, and two, like, people need to go use the bathroom. So don't be in there way too long. And bro, it gets fucking boring to be in there more than like 10 minutes for me. I don't know how people do it, but fuck, it also stinks as like crap in there too. I just don't get it. Also, breathing in those fecal matter fluids or fumes and shit probably is not good for you as well. I know there are many ways to kind of get out of quiet quitting, or to do quiet quitting without kind of harming your job or your reputation at work. And the best way to kind of do that, I've noticed, was if you're actually nice to people at your job, where you're actually like friendly enough where people just perceive you as nice, and then you don't work as hard. I've noticed that, like, it doesn't matter how hard you worked at times, like, people just assume that you were a good worker just because of how nice you are to people. And it's kind of a crazy reality too, because there was times where I didn't do that on purpose. But I remember working at the grocery store, and I did that as a janitor. There's times where I would also just walk off to do, like, getting carts or something because it's slow. And I wouldn't even go that fast. I talked to a lot of people all day, admittedly, and wouldn't even do my job properly sometimes at that place. And I will say, they didn't even like care. That's the crazy part. A lot of these minimal wage jobs, or lower paying jobs, because this job was a bit lower, it was $13 an hour. They just don't seem to pay attention as much, or just not enough where they can take you to the office, because they can't. I guess they're like, well, he does go back and do his job, but it also does depend on the management. And sometimes, bro, there is some favoritism, and I do admit there probably was a little bit, but fuck, dude, the pay wasn't even good. Like, I wasn't even getting full-time hours at this gig. What's kind of funny too is at that grocery store job I did did go back to that store like fucking 3 times at different points in my life just because I needed something. But bro, I don't kind of recommend it now because I realize and look back is that that place pays pennies. But obviously I was naive and I was like, yeah, I only like this place, you know, because of the people and how it made me feel. Because I did feel happy for the most part, but in a way I was kind of coping with the situation I was in with my finances. It's like if I'm gonna be broke, dude, at least I got good people around me while I work. But that shit does not ever go well, unfortunately, because a lot of people do eventually move on. And this was at a time where I didn't even know what quiet quitting even was, you know. And before I realized what it was, I started this trend mainly working like, you know, at on InstaWork and in the warehouse a lot. And that's where things started changing for the better. Nowadays, like, I'm just happy that I have consistent hours without trying to fucking kill my body and soul. Some people are still soulless when it comes to these type of jobs, but some people just do not understand how to like kind of cope with the situation or better their lives for the long run. And one time at a job, my recent job actually, I did get an interesting question. He asked me and goes, how do you manage to stay so happy in an environment like this, even though the shifts were like really long and it was like getting off pretty late? And I told him that there's a lot of things I have looking forward to in my life when I get off work, not just YouTube, but also, you know, I just have control of my life as well. And that kind of makes a big difference because when you have control of your life in general, when it comes to like picking up shifts and doing whatever you need to do to get things done, it's like the best feeling in the world. Like, I can't really describe this feeling, but bro, it's like, man, I feel like I got, you know, my life back again in a way. And even though it's not going to be a permanent situation with this job, I could definitely work at this job a bit longer without feeling like I'm going to get burnt out or quit sooner or nothing. Because there's people who do have this Amazon Flex program that work jobs and they actually use it to their advantage. And they're like some of the happiest workers too. They work like 35 to like 45 hours like on the minimal. And sometimes they'll take advantage of the holiday season where they can get up to 60 hours of overtime. I don't know, man. It's just nice to have all that control. It's really cool. And this person been at this place for like 5 years, and this is like the happiest they ever been. And they even came from like a career job where they were making like 100K a year, and they were actually, you know, feeling sucked and drained because they didn't have their own proper scheduling. But just know when it comes to working a job, when you're quiet quitting at a place, just make sure you're doing it for the right reasons and not doing it for the reasons where, you know, you're just gonna go home and just like not do shit after work. Because this only works really well if you are doing something on the side. Like, yeah, you can quiet quit and then just go home and not do shit after, but like, I don't know, dude. Like, if you don't want to be in this endless routine, I feel like it's best to at least do something to at least make you happy in some way, if it's realistic enough. And you just never know, man. Like, there's a lot of opportunities in this world that a lot of people just don't seem to take advantage of. Anyways, everybody, thank y'all for listening. If this kind of touched some of y'all or kind of relate to a lot of y'all, I do appreciate, like, you watching and relating to the whole situation, man, because I know I'm not the only one out here, and there's a lot of people who do kind of feel this way, I'm pretty sure. Also, another thing I just want to say is thank y'all so much for the support on the channel recently. It's been growing pretty quickly again for the most part, and the consistency has been paying off. Right now I've been averaging around like, you know, 30 to 50 bucks a day off YouTube, and that's the most I've ever had in a while. Some months were kind of bad and kind of rough because sometimes I was working overtime and shit, but man, it does feel a lot better just, you know, working with my schedule now and then getting this done, because I definitely had a hard time trying to balance the warehouse job and then, you know, get the YouTube numbers good too and shit. And yeah, it's awesome. It's a great feeling, dude. Even though it's not like a famous YouTube channel or nothing, it's been fun as hell. Until further ado, I'm done yapping for this video, and I'll see y'all later. You all have a good one.